Nice and bright and sunny out. Different environment. Whoa, where am I? Where are we? What's going on? Welcome to this completely unnecessary podcast for Tuesday, November 21st, the pre-giblets and stuffing version of the CU podcast 2017. That's Ian Ferguson. I'm Pat Country. This is Ian's library room.
Guest room.
/ game room.
We've shoved things out of the way here.
So we got a lot of cool stuff lined up for you. We're talking about the Backlash against EA for the Star Wars Battlefront II DLC stuff going on. We're talking about GameStop disabling Power Pass very quickly, which is hysterical. The ESRB going after indie physical games. Justice League, why not? An animated Super Mario Brothers movie, a Rampage trailer with The Rock, Q&A, maybe something else. Ian, we had a pretty successful NES marathon, the 8th annual, benefiting America. We raised $22,000 with the help of everyone out there, the fine audience.
Yes.
That was fun.
It was. I had a good time.
I didn't feel like trash for the next 3 days. Only like a half a day I felt like trash.
I did.
Well, you pushed yourself, buddy.
This was the first time I think I actually really did feel like trash after the marathon, but it was a lot of fun doing it with the group. Big thanks to Gerard and Andre and Alex for coming down for that and making the trip. But yeah, I mean, it was a lot more fun. It was easier to get through, I think, some of the lulls when you could pass the controllers around and chat a little and all that. Easier
to keep up with stuff when you have me or you looking at stuff while other people were playing stuff. We didn't fall as behind as we necessarily do in the past years.
No. Not quite as bad.
Not quite as badly. It was, I think, a tighter run show. We had some audio clipping issues that we eventually kind of figured out. It was just too much audio coming in on our poor little mixer. But overall, I think it was a success. Twitch, thank you for helping promote it. They put it on the front page at times. Thanks again to Gerard and Alex and Vonnie and Andre for helping out. There were some funny NES marathon moments. Russian roulette with Frank was pretty funny. Sunday morning.
I missed that. Yeah, I heard that was great though. Vonnie's told the story. He
216 to 1 chance that everyone was knocked out in the first try except for Frank.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's only Frank. As only Frank can do it. By the way, before anyone complains about Pat getting a nice chair, Ian suggested I get this chair.
Yeah, I just gave it to him.
The Ian Splooge chair, we'll just say. We don't know how many Pornhub visits have been launched in this chair. That aside, I'll disinfect my pants later. We got Spike hanging out. You can't see the little guy. He's hanging out. He's on my laptop bag over there.
Snoozing.
And the reason that we are in this room is because I'm going to start packing up my place relatively soon.
Remind me, I have to give you some bubble wrap before you leave.
You have some bubble wrap for me?
Vonnie brought you a big thing of bubble wrap.
Oh, for the small bubbles.
Yeah.
Okay, I ordered a one with the big bubbles, and I might need some more boxes. Thanks to Vonnie for that. I'm moving on a jet plane. No, I'm moving by car. Not too far away, but my life's going to be even more hellacious in December. But it'll get back there. Eventually, in 2018, you'll have maybe a nice new studio for the CU podcast and whatever else goes on Twitch. If I should live stream me just writing for a certain Super Nintendo guidebook, that'd be funny. just obviously see me like type. Dude, you can't see what I'm typing, just see me type. Hey. Like and just type. Other than that, I just got back from Retro Game Con. I got 2 stories from Retro Game Con.
That's right. You told me you have a special story.
I have a couple of special stories. I finally met, the first story was I met Gary Kitchen and David Crane were there. By the way, thanks for everyone that came out. For some reason, my panels at Syracuse are always really nutty and insane. There's mythical footage missing. It's not a line of my panel last year, where I ranted about Friendly's Ice Cream for like 15 minutes. I was out of my mind last year. It's fun this year. Gary Kitchen and David Crane come up to me on Saturday afternoon, and 2 of the special guests there, luminaries of video game history and game development. And they asked for, they talked about my book. I gave them a copy of my book. I gave Eric, have a couple of copies. Why not? I'm just an asshole who writes about the games. You made them. Here. Then they started asking about how the games fared in the book. That's where things turn a little south. Because I had to use the app and to quickly say, okay, what was it? Absolute Entertainment, which I think was Gary Kitchen, and then David Crane was what was it? Dev House. Either way, I started to search for him, and wasn't good.
Yeah.
There's only one game that
I think
they
it was
were
Absolute and Accolade. Maybe no, not Accolade. I can't remember. But
let's see if it's still on the search. This isn't an advertisement. This is actually how I searched for it from to let them know. There was about 15 games that they both worked on the NES and on the dev side. Remember, the THQ published some of the games they worked on.
Yeah.
That's a hint that they weren't the best quality to begin with. It was a hint. Actually, they're right here. So the publishers were Absolute Entertainment. And that was it. That was the only publisher.
okay.
It was Absolute. Okay. So you had like Garrett Kitchen, you had Battle Tank, Boyner's Blob, Race America, Space Shuttle Project, Star Trek Next Generation, and I believe there was like about 3 to 4 more. Whoever did was a dev on Ren and Stimpy, Vidiots, right? So the whole point is, I think it was like 10 to 12 games total.
Hey, Boyner's Blob's pretty good. That's David Crane, right?
Sure, that got 2.5 stars though. Like, so like the whole point was this. Like Space Shuttle Project got 3.5 stars. I like that game a lot. That's a good review. And then Ren and Stimpy I gave 3 stars better than average. Unfortunately, the rest were like 2 stars or 1.5. And so to see their faces, they took it in stride. I think David Crane said it was funny. David Crane said, well, you can't please everybody. I kept trying to say, one was what the hell was that game? Ghoul School, not the best game.
No.
You know, so when you start looking at it, you're like, ugh. And to their credit, like Ghostbusters, the ports on the NES weren't that good.
No.
They weren't that good, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, they're like one step removed from it, kind of. You know,
Sure.
maybe they had a hand in a little bit. But the whole point was is that they didn't fare that well on the NES, the games they worked on overall. Like the average rating was probably like 2 stars, something like that. And they took it in stride. They thanked me for the book. It was funny. Just to be like, I had to say, I actually didn't review most of their games. Like, thankfully, I was like, I actually reviewed Space Shuttle Project and Ren and Stimpy. I gave those 3 and 3.5 stars. They're like, but they didn't care. So the other funny story was when I got to the airport, I actually saw Gary Kitchen and David Crane again. But then I had something funny happen. So the past year, there's been Daniel Pesina and what's his name? Jax. Is that his name?
David Parrish.
Is it David Parrish?
I think it's David Parrish.
Or John Parrish?
John Parrish. Yeah, maybe it's John Parrish.
Jack's actor name. So they've been following me, shadowing me this year. We've been like 4 conventions together in Arizona, in Connecticut, and now we're both at this event. And for whatever reason, I haven't said hi to them. I felt like, who the hell am I? They're actors in video games from 20 years ago. I'm an idiot doing YouTube videos. So something told me, not something told me. I was like, you know what? I got the shittiest food ever at the... Let me tell you something about the Syracuse airport. Fucking small. I thought Buffalo's airport was small. Well, it's actually a little smaller. Syracuse isn't that much bigger. There's like 27 gates. That's it. Pretty small. 4 food choices. I went to some weird medieval themed restaurant.
Oh boy!
And got the worst quesadilla, hardest group of quesadilla. But when you look inside and see that prefab cube chicken meat inside,
oh yeah,
they couldn't even like have shredded chicken in that quesadilla. I went from having one of the best quesadillas of my life at the hotel, literally the hotel one that they cooked up was really good, to one of the worst ones. So I needed to cleanse my palate with some sort of dessert. There was a Johnny Rockets there. I should have eaten there. I wanted to get a nice healthy milkshake. I go to get the milkshake at Johnny Rockets. It seems like Johnny Cage beat me to it, because when I looked down, I saw the what is it? I'm tired. The flight ticket, whatever. The fucking boarding pass.
Yes.
The boarding pass on the ground was Daniel Pesina. That's Sub-Zero for you, everyone. That's Johnny Cage. It's fate. Yeah. I have his boarding pass. I got my milkshake. I found the gate. They're both sitting there. They got all their gear there. And I go, Mr. Pesina. I hand him the boarding pass. He looks fucking confused. He's like, who's this person? And then I start to introduce myself. Jax was pretty quiet. Mr. Pesina. Master Pesina. Because he's a, like, martial arts master. We start talking, and then we realize, yeah, you look kind of familiar. We've seen each other at this convention. But I thanked them for the work. I asked where they're from, which is fucking stupid, because it's Chicago where Midway is. I should have realized that. And then, we just exchanged pleasantries. Jack seemed pretty nice. It was funny. It's like, you got everything you'd be doing something else. And Jack's like, hey, I never thought so. It's my first year, but hey, if they want to have us out and pay us, why not? They say it like that, but you know what I mean? It's like, it's not something you'd imagine them doing like a day of motion capture work 20 years ago on a few different games turns into something like this. You know what I mean? Or a few days of motion capture, whatever. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was it. And I gave them boarding pass. They thanked me, and that's my less embarrassing story versus you for meeting Jax.
Woo! That feels better.
And yes, and Jax. Not many people make me feel overtly less of a man when I'm standing next to them. Jax is definitely one of them, though.
He's terrifying.
He's bigger than he was 20 years ago. Like he or just as big. He's got to be in his, you think mid to late 40s by now. I got his card, and he's some sort of like superhuman trainer according to his card. It's like peak performance human, like one of those jobs. That's what he does.
I think he's like a sovereign citizen mercenary type deal. He's a
He's a
crazy person if you look into.
Oh really?
Oh yeah.
He's a mercenary.
I don't know if he's a mercenary, but he's just a very he's.
Wait a minute. Let's make sure we get our facts right about Jax here.
Are you a mercenary, Jax?
What are you talking about?
Let's see. Is Jax a mercenary? Or am I just thinking of the storyline from the games now?
I think you're thinking of the storyline for the game here. Oh man, wait, who is the actor here? Motion capture. Now, that's not portrayed by John Parrish. It is John Parrish. So now live we got to do a lookup of John Parrish to see whether or not he's a mercenary.
John Parrish. John Parrish, mercenary.
He's 52.
Oh, all right.
He looks like 10 years younger because he's just ripped. Yeah, he's bigger than what he was 20 years ago.
All right, my bad. He's not a mercenary.
He's not a mercenary. He's not living this character.
I thought he had taken up mercenary life.
You take it up.
You take up the mercenary life.
Yeah, I want to be a mercenary. I want to get my card.
That's why he enjoyed the bathroom so much.
Let's back up, and you got to clarify what that statement means now.
Oh, right. So I had a story involving him, and he. It was, what convention was it? It was Game On Expo, and no one had opened. The room hadn't opened yet, and I walked into the bathroom. The bathroom was big and wide. And all the way at the other end, there was a guy finishing up taking his piss.
A gigantic man.
A large man. And he zips up, and it's Jax. And he takes a step back and goes, woo-wee! Now that feels better. And I'm like, out loud. And he turns around, and he sees me, and he just puts his head down and shuffles away as fast as he can.
You shame Jax. How dare you? Humiliation. Pissing humiliation.
He's a urinal mercenary.
So real quick, there will be an NES Punk video that comes out hopefully by the end of this month. I have to just edit it. I'm done with my fucking 7 conventions and 12 weeks tour, whatever the hell I did. So that's done. It might be less weeks than that. And yeah, it's gonna be fun to move into a bright new place. Maybe be more relaxing to work on writing. Maybe I'll be streaming on Twitch more. We'll see. The big news though, Ian. EA, Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Boy, those guys.
What's going on there? What's going on with the Vader Skywalker stuff? And yeah.
All right, so we probably don't need to tell you too much about what Battlefront 2 is. It's a sequel to the reboot of the Star Wars Online first-person shooter. This time they've come back. They've added a single-player mode, supposedly, etc.
It's first or third person?
In the last one, most people played it in first person, but you could actually still switch out to third person if you wanted to. This I don't know. I'm assuming probably yes.
Okay.
So initially, there's been a lot of outcry over this game for a couple of reasons. One is the microtransactions, and 2 is the perceived slap in the face cost of unlocking playable heroes for different modes if you were to just grind it out yourself.
Okay. So the big one was that Vader and Luke Skywalker were ridiculously high versus everyone else.
They were like 40 hours worth of grinding.
So I think they were like, when I saw, tens of thousands of credits. Like 75,000 or something ridiculous. While the other characters looking like they're only like 10,000, 15,000. originally.
Right.
And Chewbacca, Leia, Palpatine, and then Skywalker and Vader, who you'd want to play at, because they're probably the most powerful ones in the game, were ridiculously high.
Or at least just the coolest. I mean, they tend to try to at least keep those characters somewhat balanced.
Sure, but that's what you want to play
right.
as. So then either you grind it out for 1,000 hours, or you end up paying real money. Exactly. Because you want them now.
So people were upset about that because the two characters that you're obviously going to want to play as most, even if you bought like the $80 collector's edition, they still didn't come unlocked.
Oh.
They were still locked. You still had to grind your balls off, or you had...
That doesn't sound good.
That sounds way worse than I thought. You still had to grind your ass off or pay up.
Grind your ass and balls.
I don't know the exact conversion of money to crystals, which was going to be the in-game currency, but people flipped out after the free play weekend, or the early access weekend, because they had determined, they're like, this is insane. I'm going to have to dedicate myself to unlocking Luke or Vader for about 40 hours and doing nothing else. The other problem that people are concerned about was that the game was looking extraordinarily like it was going to lean heavily on pay to win. There are things called cards, star cards in the game that I'm assuming are very similar to how they worked in the first one, which are basically power-ups or enhancements that you can use. Like you can equip like 3 cards to yourself when you go play. So it might be a better weapon, better bomb, a better effect, speed up or something like that. And initially they were going to be in loot crates, including high-level ones that you could just win by chance.
In loot crates?
Yeah, in loot crates.
Loot boxes, you mean?
Loot boxes.
Loot Crate's a company that sponsors us.
That's right. Well, loot boxes. People, I mean, that would obviously take a lot of fun out of it. The people who had the most money could buy all these boxes, and they would have, an instantaneous advantage over everyone else.
Sure.
So what EA did was...
Well, originally they responded on Reddit.
That was
it was the most downvoted Reddit comment in Reddit history. So someone just said, seriously, I paid $80 to have Vader locked? And they responded to the EA community team, the intent is to provide players with a sense of pride and accomplishment for unlocking different heroes. As for cost, we selected initial values based upon data from the open beta and other adjustments made to milestone rewards before launch. Among other things, we're looking at average per player credit earn rates on a daily basis, and we'll be making constant adjustments to ensure that players have challenges that are compelling, rewarding, and of course attainable via gameplay. We appreciate the candid feedback and the passion the community has put forth around the current topics here on Reddit, our forums, and across numerous social media outlets. Our team will continue to make changes and monitor community feedback and update everyone as soon as and as often as we can. So the coldest, most clinical PR response you can... Basically, we don't give a shit that we lock this behind paywalls or you have to play for 1,000 hours to get these characters.
Now, I think at that point they had already said that they were lowering the price of Vader.
Did they? That was 9 days ago.
No, I know. At this point, though, I still think they had already said that they were... I think they said they had lowered the price for Vader and...
I think that was beforehand.
And Luke.
Because they just did that the past week. That was the first shot across the bow.
Well, they did one thing, and then I thought they did the AMA right after because they figured they had generated some goodwill.
No, not from that comment they did it. That comment got the most downloads in history.
I know it didn't.
This is before that. I think this was the first shot across the bow where people were getting like, what the fuck? But this was 9 days ago. Okay. So that was like the 10th or 11th or 12th. And the changes came in the past like 5-6 days.
So initially to respond to this, because, I mean, people started canceling pre-orders. Like, lots of people started canceling pre-orders for this game. So they said, okay, well, we're not going to, they decided they were going to be a fraction less greedy, and in-app transactions were going to stay in, but they were going to lower the cost of Vader and Luke to bring it down more closely to the level of the other unlockable heroes so that it made it more reasonable to grind out and unlock them.
Sure.
But that didn't matter.
It sounds like after you've unlocked them, according to this comment, that they're gimps from the go. So like when you unlock them, you still have to.
Oh yeah, you still have to level them up. Yeah.
So it's like, what are you doing then?
Yeah.
There's absolutely no encouragement to play through. They are saying, buy it or else you're never going to get the character you want.
Right, because after that 40 hours, then you're going to grind for what, however many long.
According to this, one of the top responses said, not good enough. Also, there's no pride with wasting 40 hours grinding for a hero, only for the hero to be gimped from the go and require 300 more hours grinding to make them heroic. You're just pushing the system to incentivize spending and for no other reason. And then he says, tell them not to get a new job. Community managers don't insult the entire community, especially when they're trying to bring attention to such a cynical and shitty decision.
Yeah.
Well, it's tough when you're a community manager to be in this position because there's no way out. It's not up to you. You can't change anything. If it's shitty, it's not like your opinion means anything or matters anyway.
So where does this all fall out? Basically, and it still hasn't ended in a way that's suitable enough for me. This ended with EA essentially going, okay, fuck it, this is blowing up in our faces. They are losing all their pre-orders. They apparently upset Disney, and they eliminated all microtransactions temporarily. And they then lowered Skywalker and Vader for 15,000 credits instead of whatever they were before, 10. I think it was like 50 or 75 or something ridiculous. It was so high. Okay, so here's the deal. I don't think anyone is buying this. Lucasfilm even said that they're happy that they did this because, Star Wars is, for the customers and for the people, and they want the people to have fun, and they don't want people to be confused. EA is doing this simply because they're concerned about sales in the launch window and the holiday window. They want people to forget about the fact that they said temporarily, and they need those launch sales for this game to make money.
Sure.
And they need those things now. I think it's almost too easy to call this basically, and they keep saying that they're going to pay attention and adjust things. I don't want to load up a game and see, DLC one day for $10, the next day it's $18, the next day it's $7. I mean, what? Am I going to fucking play? No. But I mean, I'm just saying that's kind of what they're trying to say. What I think is going to happen is they will leave microtransactions out until the game has been out for probably about 4 to 6 months. I'd say less time, more time is likely, and then they'll reinstate them, and they'll use this excuse. People who did not get it at launch, it will help those people who did not get it at launch catch up to people who have had it since launch.
So this is a deal with Disney stepping in here, because obviously EA, their stock took a minor hit when they announced that we're temporarily suspending, because that's less money in the pockets of EA. You have stockholders, less confidence. We know that. Companies have fiduciary duties. Whoever runs a company has a fiduciary duty to make the company as much money as you can. That's the bottom line. Whether or not you agree with this is shitty, and it is shitty, that's what they're going to do. Right. We can have a whole other conversation, which we can at some point, about is this sort of crap necessary? And some people say it is somehow, even though this loot box shit didn't exist a few years ago in games to this extent. You can make the argument that this is the only way AAA titles can be made and be profitable at this point in time. For whatever reason, the budgets are big, the license to Star Wars is a lot of money. That's what they got to do to stay afloat. When you're a publicly traded company, though, you have a lot more pressure on you to have a profit and to have consistent profit versus it being a private company. You know what I mean? Yeah. So maybe this shitty practice is going to happen more with these larger companies, as we see. What's interesting, though, is that when Disney weighs in on it, Disney has a hell of a lot more to lose than even EA in this case, because it's their brand that they are licensing to someone else to make money off of. So Disney gets their money up front in a deal like this. Probably they're done with that at that point. Maybe they get a small portion of the profits, but to them it's small potatoes overall. You gave us money to use our assets and our likenesses of our characters. Have fun, EA. It's like the same way they get the NFL deal. Have fun making whatever game you want. And then when they see this spiral out of control, they got to step in. Because they got a huge fucking movie coming out in December.
Right. You don't want this.
They have a lot more risk than EA.
Overshadowing, your movie.
They spent billions, Disney, acquiring Star Wars. Billions of dollars.
Yeah.
They have little room for error when it comes to this shit and their brand. So Uncle Mickey came in, and I had a good talking to, it sounds like, with EA.
Yeah.
So what it sounds like happened, according to the Wall Street Journal, you had Disney executive Jimmy Pitaro spoke with EA management just hours before microtransactions were removed. Reportedly informed EA that executives at Disney were upset by how the dissatisfaction amongst players reflected on their marquee property. So, yeah, they had a stern talking to.
I'm imagining someone whipping into that office, shirt untucked, hair on fire, like
it's literally
to kill.
It's literally Mickey Mouse from South Park with a baseball bat, and he starts cracking heads. Because it's not like, yes, Star Wars is the king of getting you to buy whatever merchandise you want, but it's never something like sneaky about it. It's never like, oh, you can get that real toy if you buy these other toys. No, it's like, okay, you want to buy our shitty toaster, go for it. But there's no trickery involved.
Right.
You want to buy the shitty consumerism, buy into that, go for it.
You want your Star Wars branded oranges? Get your Star Wars branded oranges.
Sure, if that's a thing. You know what I mean? Get your Star Wars branded stuff. Weird fox sitting over there. I don't know if you can see that in a picture, everyone. You probably can't. But you know what I mean? But this to Disney is a bridge too far. Where Disney doesn't have to do this to make money. They just put out the products and people will buy them. They don't have to try to sneak around, or microtransactions. It's just like, buy tickets to our movie, we're going to make tons of money, and that's good enough for us.
Right.
Because they have to, be safe here. So I just think it's an interesting situation, but they're going to come back. They have come, they're going to come back, but they lowered everything. I think they're probably just going to lower everything to a decent amount. People are still going to spend money, but at least it won't be through the nose.
Yeah, they also said, I think EA said something like, okay, well, we'll try to make sure that no, like, ultra rare star cards are in, any of the boxes, and, if you get higher powered stuff, we'll make sure, and this is like such a stupid oversight, like, really, we'll make sure you have to be a certain level before you can equip it, and it's like, yeah, I mean, that's one of the first things you put in when you're trying to, like, not make a game pay to win. It was so obvious that the scheme they were going for was give me money so you can win the game. It was going to be pay to win.
Did they even release the chances of getting this rare stuff even on the
I never see it. I don't think the stats are ever
this has to be regulated.
At least not here.
It has to be regulated at some point, doesn't it?
Yes.
Because it's like with anything else, when you have gambling commissions and know the exact odds of winning at slot machines or roulette, the odds are known. What the maximum jackpot, like, they're there, so it can't be fucked with. Because behind the scenes, who knows if maybe we'll just make the rare card a little bit less easy to get, so we know how much more money is going to come in to get. Who's controlling that?
Right.
It's just flipping a switch somewhere. It's just saying, oh, now the odds are they were 1 in 1,000. Now it's 1 in 1,500 or 1 in 2,000.
And I think that's what they're actually talking about when they talk about tweaking and balancing and this, that, and the next thing. I mean, I think that's outwardly saying, we have to find the right, mix of odds and money.
It's absolutely gambling. Yeah. It absolutely is.
Yep.
But the whole point is usually when you gamble with whatever it is, whether it's when you buy a pack of cards, chase cards, toys, the odds usually of getting that. The production numbers aren't hidden. Am I boring you?
No.
Okay. All right. So anything else to add to that?
No.
Okay. On top of that, though, there was fake death threats that came out from a guy who wasn't really an EA dev that pretended he was. So this was reported, Jason Schreier, who may not know the NES library well, of Kotaku, the curious case of the EA game dev who said he received death threats. So he had 5,000 followers on Twitter. It was Big Sean66 with 2 G's. Big Sean66. Started tweeting a while back saying that he was with EA, and then after all this hullabaloo came out originally, he said he was up to 7 death threats, over 1,600 individual personal attacks now, and that went viral. I think mainstream outlets picked it up, writing about how the outrage over Battlefront II's microtransactions led to gamers threatening Big Sean's 66 life. So, interesting article from Jason Schreier, and then he was quoted by other developers and journalists. Sympathies were sent. So it was a whole other issue about gamers acting like assholes towards developers. Here's the problem, though. No other current EA employees knew who the hell this guy was. No one could identify him as an actual person working for EA. So either you had gamers making death threats to a fake person, or the guy was this Twitter account was making it up entirely.
Right.
So, but the fall of that is that you have gamers, quote unquote gamers, being put in a bad light as a group, that we're out of control, that we're nuts, that we shouldn't. Of course, you shouldn't be sending death threats over anything, really. But for video games, absolutely not. Of course not.
Well, I mean, the awful thing about this is, I mean, this trivializes something that actually does happen. I mean,
it has happened.
It wasn't. It was not very long ago that we were talking about Mass Effect Andromeda, and I mean, there were actual death threats circling around when it came to, you know, Mass Effect Andromeda. Don't need to make it up, and I mean, we don't need to create these problems if they aren't actually there. I mean, we're trying to make. I mean, the gaming community needs to get better, not worse. So there's really no point in, and you see what I'm saying? Like, okay, well, if there's no death threats here, we don't need to keep that status quo of there being death threats around up. Just let it go. I mean,
sure.
who are they trying to make look stupid?
Sure. This Big Sean 66 was nefarious, and he posted pictures from inside EA to say, like, oh, I work here, that were posted elsewhere. Like, there's investigation going on here. With this, is it kind of a troll or a nut or both? So this brings up a larger point, though, another conversation, and I just talked to Boogie2988 on the Not So Common podcast, because he tweeted about this, that vehemently saying to people, you should not be sending death threats. As gamers, we have to watch what we do. We should not be doing this. We're going to look bad to these outlets. This makes it worse. And someone responded, I remember in the chain, saying, why should I be held accountable for what some other asshole does? Well, why should my reputation be tarnished? You know, it should not be that the worst of us represents us. And Boogie said, no, that the worst of us does represent us. That's why you have to call it out every time it happens and make sure that this isn't how the mainstream culture or mainstream whatever legacy media portrays us, especially after the whole Gamergate thing where assholes went after people for no reason and doxed people, whatever else. So that's a conversation I had with him. I mostly disagree with the notion that we have to constantly go after or at least make sure that the worst of us isn't representing us. Like, shouldn't it be known that some random asshole out there, and there are always going to be random assholes out there, whatever bad behavior they do, should that always reflect on the normal person?
No.
And especially in a situation like this where it's an outspoken person anonymously on Twitter or on Facebook sending a death threat. You know, like, why should, first of all, why are they representing me, or why should they be included in whatever group I think? Why do I have to speak out against them every time some asshole out there does something wrong? And the other question is, even if Polygon or Kotaku says that, oh, this is bad, look at this group of gamers doing that, why should I give a shit what Polygon thinks about me if I include myself theoretically as a gamer? Like, why should I give a shit what a site like that says about me? And that's the question I posed to Boogie, and he said, well, some people don't care, but if it gets out there, this is how then we'll be represented as a group. And I don't know, that to me is a larger conversation, and one that I think is so highly theoretical and not just logistically. How can a whole group be identified? What does that mean? How can that affect you? It only matters to me if you can be affected in daily life. Like, does it get to the point where you say to someone, oh, I'm a gamer, like, I like gaming, and then that person you're telling remembers a Polygon article from a few years ago saying gamers are dead and you're all terrible and this is why. So then, is that what you're trying to stem the tide from that happening? Like, is it pushing back against that potential where in the mainstream everyone thinks gamers are just non-social dweebs that can't talk to anyone or function in society? I always counter that with, well, isn't like the majority of people nowadays a gamer? Like, when you look at how many people buy video games, aren't we all in that group? So then the more people that are in that group, doesn't that dilute the meaning of a gamer group in the first place? So,
I mean, to a degree, I think it depends on how attached to a label you are is also going to determine how much you care about the worst representing us. I do agree with to a degree with Boogie that you are represented by the worst if you are, if you need to consider yourself part of a clique or part of a label. You need to be careful with that label and what you choose. You need to be careful. You also need to wonder how much you care. I think we also need to get past this we need to get past this cliquish mentality of gamers and identity.
Well, we spoke about that before, though.
And I think that's a larger issue.
Letting hobbies define you as a person,
right?
Entirely, versus it just being something fun you do.
Yeah, exactly. I know lots of people who go to movies twice a week and they don't refer to themselves as anything other than a person.
I'm a movie buff.
Yeah, I'm a movier.
A movier?
A movier. Or
movier game?
Yeah, filmer.
Filmer.
But
I think it's. Yeah,
I mean, and that's the thing. It's because people want there to be this group. I don't know why they want that group identity. That people like Boogie, I think, would feel that way, that you are going to be represented by the worst. And at that point, I do kind of have to agree with him that you have to be careful with that. But only if that's your situation. For instance, that's not my situation. Do you play video games? Yeah, I play video games. I keep, various people like you. It obviously doesn't bother you. It doesn't bother me. I keep my head out of that shit. So I don't know. I think it's a difference of perspective on how much you would care.
Well, yeah, it's, I guess, interest versus lifestyle. I guess if there's a gamer lifestyle, like I have a gamer chair, I drink Monster Energy drink. Like, is there like a gamer lifestyle
I think there
that
is.
some ascribe to?
Yes, and
is that what it is?
And maybe we don't get that, but I think there is. I think for a lot of people, gaming is a lifestyle.
But this doesn't happen with other things. Like there's some awful sports fans that say bad shit, go to games and throw beer bottles and get in the fights. They don't. No one pretends that represents all sports fans.
No, it just represents Buffalo sports fans.
Yeah, or Philly throwing snowballs at sand. You see what I mean, though?
Pissing in his beer. Yeah.
You don't see other sports fans have to say, "Whoa, that person that punched that guy at that game at that Mets game, he doesn't represent me."
Because when the camera pulls out, you see a big stadium full of cheering fans. People.
And you realize it's a couple of assholes.
And you realize it's a couple of assholes. Whereas when you pull out the camera on these stories, all you see are these stories.
And you don't see, like, when something bad, like, for example, one of the most horrific things happened when those asshole Dodger fans put that Giants fan in a coma a few years ago. After the Dodgers game.
Yep.
They jumped him and put him in a coma, those pieces of shit. I think they caught them all, though.
Yes, I believe they did.
But no one after that said, that's how... all these bad Dodger. No one said that's how all Dodger fans were. That's how all baseball fans were. That's how all sports fans were. No one said that when they covered it. No one's ever said that when they covered it. When they've had bad stuff happen, like the Malice in the Palace at that NBA game. It was like 15 years ago already. When that happened, no one's ever done that. So why? That's a larger question. I'm not thinking about why has that only happened in my eyes in gaming. That's a whole other issue we can get into at some point. Maybe I'm thinking about that for the future. Why is it the only time I've seen that only happen with gamers being identified? Well, this is all of gamers. Is there an agenda there, maybe?
I think I still think it goes back to a perspective situation. It's like when you see removes 99% of germs, like a commercial for like
antibacterial spray or something.
Yeah, and it shows you that tile, right? And there's just that little,
there's a couple little microbes there.
Right, okay. That is the perspective of sports, and those little microbes there that are left over by a leading brand, okay, are the bad apples.
Okay.
People look at them and go, that spray does a good job. There's just a couple of bad apples there. But gaming, I think, is that picture zoomed in to make it look much worse.
Is it also maybe because gamers as a whole are more technologically savvy, so they're more likely to be on a Reddit or be on Twitter or Facebook? They'll know how to go after devs directly, you know what I mean, versus the average Joe Sixpack who's just a fan of the New York Rangers. He might disagree with the GM trade, but he's not going to go after the GM's page and attack his family. Is that part of it maybe too? I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud now.
It's possible. I mean, now we're just spitballing, but that's a possibility too. But I honestly think it's you take, like I said before, you take sports, you
or any other hobby, anything,
but any other big hobby, and those hobbies I think have had their wide angle pan shots where you can see everyone having fun and having a good time.
No one sees the majority of gamers not being vocal. I did say they Boogie.
Not currently, no.
But the majority of gamers maybe aren't online complaining.
Yeah.
They're just average people playing their games, having fun.
It's like we talked about secret collectors. Not everyone has to be online talking.
Secret collectors.
But I mean, remember,
that's like a new A&E series.
Yeah, but I mean, you remember when we talked about that?
There are the collectors that are just swing their junk around in a circle. Oh, look at I got a little Sam's complete box. But there's a lot of collectors out there, like the lovely Mr. Atwood, that it was a secret that he had all this stuff.
And I've had the pleasure of meeting some who live in San Diego. You know,
really, where are they?
And I don't know. But you actually met one of them at one of the events, actually. But anyways, they're out there, and I think that there's probably a lot of gamers like that too. I mean, I talk about games a lot, but I rarely talk about what I'm actually playing. I mean, I definitely don't get into fandoms. I don't try to look into games harder. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's just the online presence.
Not to disparage an entire group that might be our core audience, but maybe some people are more well-rounded. Maybe. And gaming is, again, part of your life, not your entire life.
Yeah.
Maybe you like cooking. Maybe you collect stuffed animals. Comic books you're into.
I'm a cooker.
I'm a cooker. Cooking gate.
There's only 3 things I care more about than cooking.
We said cooking and Spike got up. We're not getting you food, Spike. I wish you can see Spike in this shot.
Aw.
You can't see him.
Yeah, he's just going to rotate and lay back.
He's just going to ruin and soil my laptop bag. All right, that's all on this topic. Guys out there, listen to my conversation with Boogie. He put it online. It's also on an audio format. It's very good. It's very fun. And, yeah. So, moving on, Ian, to something that got reversed pretty quickly. And after maybe they listened to the last podcast, because I point out all the bad reasons how this could go wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe they realized it after the fact. Maybe they're listening. Maybe they're listening out there. So GameStop has suspended their Power Pass used game rental service pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Pretty quickly. So remember what that Power Pass used game rental service was, where you paid $60
for 6 months.
For 6 months, which means you could constantly be renting a used game for as long as you want, and then you can return it, and then at the end of the 6 months, you can get a used game and keep it. And I guess so. Basically, you're paying $60 for a used game.
Yep.
That's really what you're doing.
Yep.
Right? But you get it after 6 months.
You just get a long time to decide.
But you can decide, and then, okay, this is a game I want afterwards. So everyone wins, right? You can rent the games.
Surprise at the bottom of a box of cereal.
GameStop is selling with probably a $5 to $7 game for $60 in essence. But I brought up the fact that logistically, how could that work? Are they trained? Are their systems, are their computer systems even primed for something like that? And
that was the response was no.
Oh, okay.
The computer systems are not ready for it, and that's why they revoked it.
So
none of their systems. They determined after launch that their systems were absolutely not anywhere near equipped to handle anything of the sort. So they dropped it, and anyone who signed up for it, like in that first week, got a refund and like a free game or some shit like that. So they said we have elected to temporarily pause the rollout of the new Power Pass subscription service based on a few program limitations we have identified. We feel this is the right thing to do now to ensure we are able to provide our guests with an exceptional service. So Kotaku, Jason Schreier again, he's reported on it, he's helping it. It said it wasn't clear why GameStop was freezing it, but employees have speculated to Kotaku that their antiquated computers weren't equipped to handle it. The last time you went into a GameStop, how old do you think those computers were? Oh, let's not do this for comedy. I'm not.
Do you think early 2000s, mid 2000s, or 90s? Like, how old do you think those computers actually are? To be honest,
2005.
Do you think they're a little over 10 years old?
I think that was the first. Whenever they made the first upgrade from tube monitors to flat screens, I think that's the last time they upgraded it. I think that was
the mid 2000s when LCDs came down in price a little bit.
Yeah, 2005.
Under $250.
Yeah,
for the nice little 14-inch whatever they're using there.
Let's go with that.
Do you think every GameStop even has an LCD monitor?
I'm going to guess that somewhere out there is a GameStop with a CRT monitor.
They're still rocking that 15-inch CRT.
Probably
That Super VGA monitor. out there.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah.
They test 4K systems on it.
To be honest, I mean, they did soft launch it. That's the whole reason you do a soft launch, to work out the bugs, which they kind of never did with the retro thing, but that made money.
And
but
that's just rolling along like a tumbleweed.
It's rolling like Limp Bizkit. It's just going.
Oh no, not in my house, not in 2017. No.
Remember when Taker used that song?
You're upsetting the cat.
So GameStop said, for those guests who have already purchased the service, we will allow them to bring the pass and video game they've checked out back to receive a full refund. In addition, we will allow them to pick out any pre-owned game for free. All right, so they're making it right.
Yeah.
We don't know how many they launch this out to. Who knows how many stores?
Well, that's
10,
pretty
20.
good. You get your money back, and if you play it right, you can get a $55 game, because some of their used games are $55.
Oh yeah, because they got to keep that above what the new ones are sometimes, because that's how it works out. I don't know.
Don't worry about it.
I mean, I couldn't say we couldn't see this coming, but come on.
We could.
I'm going to say some of these stores never upgraded and are still working on, like, Gateway 2000s from 97. I'm going to say that at this point.
The cow is still, on the cow stickers.
The cow will never die.
Yeah.
All right. So, Ian, this is something that we meant to each other, and in talking to certain people out there that we know and semi-love. This is something that's becoming hotter, a debate recently, with more and more... is that a cat? What was that?
That
bird outside?
That's an alley cat out there.
Well, that's a new Sights and Sounds recording at Ian's. But there's been not just limited run games, but other companies starting to do physical releases of indie games.
Special batch games, or what's it called? I have to...
But before, it seemed like the ESRB wasn't really paying attention to it, what they're doing. Now, though, they're starting to come down on these companies, because now they have to get a nice ESRB rating to release these games.
So, initially, indie games would come out digitally, and the ESRB, which is an offshoot of the Entertainment Software Association, came together. It's not a government thing. It's independent of that. It's to keep the government
out of this,
of the video games. It's kind of the wall in between.
It's like the Motion Picture Art Association as well, with rating movies.
Right. Special Reserve was the other. IM 8-Bit, Special Reserve, and Limited Run Games are basically the three main publishers we'll be talking about here. They would, when a digital game came out, to, I guess, kind of help out indie developers, they would rate it for free, as opposed to, I believe it was like 10,000 or something like that for like a AAA game to get a rating. They would rate it for free. And then, since it had already been rated, they did not need to... These companies that... excuse me. Jeez. These companies like IM 8-Bit, Special Reserve, and Limited Run Games, who do most of their releases through online sales or independent stores, they didn't need to put the ESRB rating on there. The game was already rated.
It's online purchasing. You need a freaking credit card. You can't walk off the street and pay cash for them.
Right. Exactly. And because only it's not required, but all companies have decided, yes, it has to, a physical release has to have an ESRB rating. It didn't affect these companies. They could put them out with beautiful box art and all that stuff. There didn't have to be a rating on them. As I believe it was Douglas or Josh from Limited Run said, one of the things that, and we'll get into this more later, I'm jumping ahead with the quote, but didn't really matter because this stuff is almost so specialized that people who would go looking for it already know what they're buying anyways. I mean, hell, they've probably played it before.
These are all re-releases of games.
Yeah, or the releases at the time. So you either really know what you're getting into or you've played it. So
this is what they said. They're going to say that an ESRB rating in September, the board announced that there's a new tier for rating digital or physical. Any title with development budget of $1 million or less to be rated as a box product will be $3,000 instead of the standard $10,000. That's still a significant chunk of change to these companies. These companies, sometimes their margin on these is not the greatest.
Right.
So this is a hit they're taking on games that have already been rated already. So this is a payoff. Really,
they have to be. Yeah, exactly. So where we're going here is, it used to be that they could just do this, and because they weren't selling out of the normal Best Buy, GameStop storefronts, they could just sell online. There was no problem without the rating being there. Yeah. Now with this new law and this new rule instated, that is a good discount for people who were smaller studios that were already going to release it physically and were planning it. But for people like Limited Run Game Special Reserve and I Am 8-Bit, this is a fucking nightmare. Now all of their games have to have ratings on the box, and even though it's already been rated as a digital product, it needs to go through that certification again for $3,000 to get the ESRB rating on the box, even though it's already been rated.
There's no nice way to put it. They basically have a monopoly. Douglas Bogart, co-founder of Limited Run Games, says about the ESRB. There's no one above them. You have to follow their rules. Your business basically lives or dies by their whim, which is really scary in my opinion. So the only thing I would say is this, is that these games do end up being sold sometimes in person. Shops do carry these games.
If we ever got them, I mean, we would carry them.
So
for sure. Independent.
If you want it, if you want it highly technical at that point, you might want to say the ESRB, be like, okay, we have to do this, but to charge $3,000 for each title to me is insane.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Especially if you can say, and listen, this is the same exact freaking game. This is the same game. How about $100? Something that it's the same. You have something, a write-off from the developer saying this is the same exact game. Sign something legally, get a notary. They still exist to say this is the same exact game.
It's dirty fucking money.
Yes, but this is the only way it can be because Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft are agreeing, and this is the only way you're going to be able to publish them. So everyone's buying in. There's something going on here, some backroom dealing going on here.
Sure.
When it comes to this, I'll just say that it's just not. It doesn't seem right. It just doesn't seem right to me.
No, it seems awful. And as I believe, once again, it is Douglas notes, the ever-quotable Douglas. Can't find it. But anyways, the sentiment is basically what they started out doing, these companies started out to do, was to create physical editions of these small games for people to have, and what's actually happening now may actually reverse that. We may now actually start to see less physical copies of games, because in the case of Special Reserve and Ruiner, which actually I really wanted, they had to cancel the physical release of Ruiner because the $3,000 hurdle was just too much.
It was too much. And then it's almost like a bad tax plan, like one that's currently trying to be put through Congress, is that this actually is a net gain for the mid to larger companies, because they're actually going to end up paying less if that game was budgeted. They can afford the $10,000, but they're going to end up paying only $3,000 on certain games. For them, it's like, hey, right for us. But for the smaller man having to pay, like, whoa, that kills us that we have to pay anything versus those other companies.
Yeah, I don't know that the benefit is really worth the destruction for the industry as a whole. I think it's really quite shitty.
So hopefully, I don't know, maybe they can come to an agreement where it's a much more reasonable cost for this, a few $100s. I'm not saying it has to be free, because there is time putting into this, but $3,000 just seems just way too much for a very small company to have to front that cost, or a company like Limited Run have to do on top of that in order to get it released. That just seems like you're discouraging these games being produced more.
Yeah,
it's just it's an extra tax that shouldn't have to be there. Right. I mean, what else are you gonna say?
It seemed to me like a blatant discouragement, and then that led me to wonder why.
Loot Crate, yeah. You know, Ian, Loot Crate's that monthly geek box with exclusive items and a nice T-shirt every month. You can go to lootcrate.com/Pat, enter code PAT to save 10% off any new subscription. So, yeah. Best surprise you know is coming, and they got the holidays coming up. Why not give the gift of Loot Crate?
Yeah,
that's what I say.
Give them a chance to explore Loot Crate, which is also the theme for this month.
Whoa!
With we got stuff from Destiny 2, Guardians of the Galaxy, and a few mystery franchises. And one lucky subscriber will win that mega crate of seriously epic proportions. You have until the 19th.
at 9 p.m. Pacific. Subscribe and receive the Explorer box. After that cutoff happens, it's over. No Christmas for you. You're going to get a lump of coal in your stocking.
That's it.
LootCrate.com/Pat. Enter my code PAT and save 10% on any new subscription today. Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy is pretty good. Destiny 2, why not? Let's talk about Blue Apron, Ian.
Oh, all right, we're going to talk about Blue Apron. Right now, we're talking about the Blue Apron. Man, call to action, must read.
Jesus Christ. Fuck. What the fuck would they do without me? Holy shit. Jesus Christ, well, I got to do everything. Blue Apron, Ian. You like the apron that's blue, don't you?
I do. I like cooking.
So, you get local ingredients sent to your place.
Fresh meat.
Fresh meat.
Fresh
produce.
Fresh produce.
You got nice recipes. They usually take about a half hour to prepare.
Things like anywhere from ramen to fancy style burgers. The sides are always good. Roasted sweet potatoes, broccoli with made
my own French fries.
Yeah, I mean you get all sorts of good stuff. You can do it as 2 4-person meals per week. You can do it as 3 2-person meals a week. There's a bunch of different ways you can do the plans. You can pick and choose whether you want fish, pork, seafood, vegetarian. I think there might even be a light eating option.
Sure.
But there's lots of different ways that you can set up your Blue Apron calendar and menu.
You can skip weeks. So go to blueapron.com/CU podcast and you'll get $30 off your first order with free shipping. That's not bad. You'll love how good it feels, tastes, to create incredible home-cooked meals with Blue Apron. So don't wait. It's blueapron.com/CU podcast. It's a better way to cook. You have upcoming meals like crispy wild Alaskan pollock and garlic mashed potatoes, roasted broccoli and tartar sauce, cheesy broccoli baked pasta with crispy thyme breadcrumbs, seared steaks and garlic butter, with oven fries and romaine salad. That sounds good. Roasted chicken and fall vegetables with cranberry and ginger. How do you pronounce that? Compote? Compote. Okay. Sounds better than how it reads.
Yeah.
It's the #1 fresh ingredient and recipe delivery service in the country, Blue Apron. And it's fun. It brings households together. Go to blueapron.com/CU podcast. Save $30 off your first order with free shipping. Thanks for being a sponsor, fellows. All right. So there's been a Twitch streamer. Twitcher?
A Twitcher.
A Twitcher? A Twitcher. It sounds so good, does it? Sounds like something.
Twitcher.
Sounds like something in Southern California. So, after a big gaming streamer suspension, Twitch community demands answers. Streamers and viewers want more transparency from the platform. This is from Polygon. So what happened here? You had someone named Trainwrecks, a streamer on Twitch, who is known for doing a bunch of stuff, including World of Warcraft, recently received a 5-day suspension following a hateful rant against a community of female streamers on the platform.
I swear to God, I know that guy.
Well, you met him?
He looks familiar.
He looks familiar? He called out a group of female streamers whom he feels have taken over Twitch, referring to them with pejoratives, I like that word, like sluts, and accusing them of stealing other streamers' subscribers. We can get into how that's a weird statement, that they're stealing other streamers' subscribers. So, a Twitch representative told Polygon the company doesn't comment on terms of service violations when asked for more details on the terms of Trainwreck's suspension. Trainwreck later went on Twitter, where he apologized for his rant against women, calling his actions inexcusable. He said, "I'd like to apologize to all those that were negatively affected by my actions. In no way was this content meant to demean, bash, or hate on the entirety of the female community. There are amazing female streamers that provide great content. It was not my intention to discredit them all in any way, and I understand that this content did exactly that. I'm embarrassed. All that being said, I want to reiterate that none of this justifies or excuses my behavior and actions. I take full responsibility, and I want to apologize to Twitch staff, and most of all those I have offended, including the entire community." After his apology, Trainwrecks retweeted multiple people calling out bikini streamers. All right. So it seems like this is still an ongoing battle. And it's a conversation. I've even brought this up before, because this is a thing on Twitter. So it gets to a larger conversation about what qualifies or merits a suspension on Twitch. how can they come down on you for, like, what are the guidelines? Is it something like this where you seem like you're going out of your way to offend the group? Is there a line where free speech gets breached on Twitch? I guess what are the terms of service, and how does the community know when it's being breached by someone? Like what's the rule? Like, the only rule I know about is that there's no nudity.
Right.
You can't. I mean, hell, they suspended one. If you want to call her a bikini streamer, someone that took money to start dancing and jiggling around, she got banned from Twitch for doing that. So so the overtly sexual stuff is supposedly persona non grata. You do that, you're done on Twitch. They don't want to be seen as a softcore webcam site. And that's what probably this guy was speaking out against. Maybe went a little bit too far, potentially, but that's the whole point, is that how do you know when you're going too far, and what's Twitch's responsibility to communicate what the guidelines are for that? It's interesting.
I mean, if I could find exactly what he said, I feel like it's quite plain that he deserved the suspension. But yes, Twitch does need to lay out a set of ground rules. I would think going off on streamers, calling them sluts, telling them to put the pussy on the floor, and things like that would be breaking a number of...
That's a strange quote, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that even means.
I don't know. Sit down. I have no idea what the fuck it means. It sounds to me like toxic gamer rage. I don't know. It's ridiculous. I think there needs to be, obviously, then they need to create some sort of code of conduct that they can allow or not allow.
Sure.
I mean, offensive ranting. I mean,
there's a lot of rants that go on online. I guess the point is, where's the line crossed? Is that a 5-day suspension? Is that a 1-day suspension? Are they, and if there's punishment happening, is it being done judiciously? Is it being done evenly across the board? Is there an appeals process? I guess we are now at that point where we have to start asking ourselves these questions, because to a lot of these people, this is how they make their money. It's the same thing with YouTube. We have YouTubers that's their income, so if they're tossed aside, it's a big deal. If their stuff can be monetized or they get suspended, whatever. Same thing with Twitch now. This is how some people make their money. So I don't know. It's tough.
I mean, this guy appears to be a large piece of shit, but leaving him out of the equation...
He appears to be. He's professional opinion on that. He appears to be a piece of shit.
Sewage pump heart and all that things.
Please don't have another hour video be made of us. That'd be bad.
Did you ever know that I might use hyperbole sometimes?
Maybe.
There's a video made about us? That's weird. I wonder why anyone would waste time doing that.
Someone's obsessed with us.
But yeah, obviously Twitch needs to lay out some ground rules here. So if people want to be shocking when they talk, or they want to be the shock jocks of Twitch, or if they want to fill a niche or a role, or if you want to go to them for their fucking fucking fantastic thoughts on women, at least they then know what and how they can say this shit, I guess.
I'll just say this, that he just had some bad logic about female streamers are not...
Oh, his logic is awful.
Are not stealing other streamer subscribers, because if they want to... Let's put it this way. And I've seen screenshots of, like, there's okay. You have streamers that happen to be women, and then you have what he's probably calling out the group that are barely playing games and just showing up in, low-cut tops or bikinis. Those people are probably never going to watch your streams. Those are probably preteens and teens that aren't maybe old enough yet, or maybe find it more enjoyable just to watch these women that are attracted to or have a crush on, and giving them tips. They're never coming over to your side. They're looking at Twitch maybe in an entirely different way versus actually enjoying your personality. Don't worry about them. They're doing their own thing. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. They're not going to come over to your side.
Yeah, it's not a mix.
To them, that's their version of an adult cam model, basically. That's why they're maybe getting off watching someone and trying to get in the tip to do jumping jacks. I mean, that's what they're attracted to. Let them do that.
I'm
not saying that's even right, though. I'm saying they're lost to you. They're not stolen. They're never going to watch you, buddy. They're just not.
Yeah. And I mean, Johnny, Johnny guy who watches him for his profound insights on women and shooting stuff, is not gonna go watch
Johnny Twitch watcher.
Johnny Twitch watcher, isn't gonna go leave this guy and, like you said, go watch casual Super Mario Brothers stream where a girl's not wearing a whole lot.
Yeah.
You're not losing Twitch streamers. If you're losing Twitch streamers to that, if you're losing Twitch streamers, the only reason you're losing Twitch streamers is because your content fucking sucks, and it's going to other streamers like you, not a completely different fucking fan base.
And Twitch is week by week, even it seems like it's very fickle. The audience fan base is how they like someone 1 week, they no longer play. They're not playing a game that they want them to play, and they leave. It's very volatile. It's scary to me.
Oh, he called it just satire, apparently. I love that satire.
Just satire, everybody.
Satire. Let's give it up for satire. Woo!
No one knows what the fuck that word actually means.
Man, satire's been landing at all the big parties lately. Satire's looking good on the red carpet at all the big events this year. Fucking... YouTubers can just say, a lot of good satirists out there on YouTube. Oh, yeah, a lot of them. Yo, what are you wearing this year to the red carpet, satire? Yeah, that's what everyone else seems to be wearing this year.
It's a big year for satire. 2016, 2017, a couple of good years for satire. In the update, a Twitch representative told Polygon that changes are being made to the non-endemic sections of the guidelines, which will remove the non-gaming portion. The update is currently being worked on. Yeah, because you can do non-gaming stuff on Twitch now, so it's almost becoming just a new platform, like how Ustream used to be, where you can just stream whatever you want. So
yeah,
it's going to become where you go on Twitch and just follow someone around, because they have the eating portions of Twitch. They're going to have the hangout at Luna with Ian Twitch stream. Wait a minute, that could be fun.
No. No.
That could be fun. All right, Ian.
Sir.
If there's one thing that's true about us, is that we are DC haters. We know that.
Oh yeah, we hate DC so much.
Even though I liked Wonder Woman, and
loved it.
I like the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy, but we're DC haters. We know that. We're being paid by Disney.
Boy, I can't just pick any DC books off my shelf over there.
No, it's fake news.
There's
fake news.
No DC on that shelf.
But besides just being on Disney's payroll, it seems like everyone else is as well, because the reviews came out for Justice League, and wasn't the best reviews. Better than Batman v Superman.
94 million opening weekend.
94 million opening weekend
on a 300 million budget.
That probably wasn't the best. 41% on Rotten Tomatoes. So again, better than Batman v Superman in terms of percentage of bad reviews versus good. Remember, guys, Rotten Tomatoes is an aggregator.
Yes.
They don't review the movies themselves. The percentage is not, this is a 4 out of 10. That's the percentage of positive reviews. So if you took 10 critics across the U.S., 4 out of 10 thought it was good. More than not, thought it was bad. That's not good for your huge blockbuster that was 3 to 4 years in the making. 3 years in the making. Because Man of Steel came out in 2013, 4 years, and immediately afterwards they said, "Oh, we got to do an Avengers thing. We got to build to that." And everyone said, "Wait, whoa, let's pump the brakes there, buddy. Let's establish a universe first." They didn't quite get there. This is the result. So the critics' consensus of Justice League was leaps over a number of DC movies, but its single bound isn't enough to shed the murky aesthetic, thin characters, and chaotic action that continue to dog the franchise. So there wasn't good word of mouth, but it wasn't as bad as Batman v Superman. And of course, they had another review embargo, which is always a good sign for a movie.
Oh yeah.
And yes, it ended up making 96 million, which on the surface you'd say that's not bad for a movie, until you look at all the other DC movies that have come out. And this is the 5th in the DC universe that's come out. Man of Steel, Batman and Superman, Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'm just so disinterested. I'm like, I keep forgetting one, and it's always Suicide Squad. I'm like, oh yeah, that chunk of horse shit got put out there.
This is the point. This has done the worst out of the 5 movies for its opening. How is that possible, Ian? Justice League, their Avengers, did the worst opening out of all of them. Worse than Wonder Woman, Worse than Batman v Superman. Worse than fucking Suicide Squad.
I can tell you. I can tell you. I think
People aren't buying into the universe?
well that, but I think moviegoers were smart enough to see that Wonder Woman was something trying to be a little. It was a period movie. You know, it was World War I, so it was in the past. It wasn't gonna get all fucky and funky.
Good trailers. Some color in the movie.
Yep, wasn't gonna get. You know,
we hadn't seen Wonder Woman before.
We hadn't seen Wonder Woman before. So I think people were willing to give that one a go, and I think they were happy with it. But I think savvy enough moviegoers, I don't think you have to be that savvy to see this, looked at this one, eliminated Wonder Woman, and goes, well, I was disappointed by Man of Steel, I was disappointed by Batman vs Superman, I was disappoined by Suicide Squad, and this looks like those movies.
Suicide Squad.
Yeah, and this looks like those movies, so I'm not going to go see it. I mean, that's all I can think, is if you eliminate the one standout film, which is, you know, Wonder Woman, I think people have just learned that they're done being disappointed.
I saw a great tweet, so I can't take credit for this, but it is common sense. Wasn't Batman v Superman kind of a Justice League movie? You had Wonder Woman show up for a good chunk, like the last hour is the three of them fighting. They mentioned Cyborg, and Aquaman is mentioned there, and Flash, so like it's a half Justice League movie, and that was shit. It was shit, people.
So why do we want to see a full Justice League?
The people that saw that and thought it was shit didn't come back for this movie.
Yeah,
this is basically Justice League 2 Dark Territory.
Yeah, they didn't need a second helping.
Justice League 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Thank you. I will not have more of your mashed potatoes with no butter or salt. Yeah, right. I mean, they just no.
But isn't that part of the problem?
Yes.
They rushed to it, like we warned them about it. We're not geniuses, but we saw like, whoa, this is a bad idea to rush to this. Because even some of the reviews said that you're thrown into like, I didn't see this movie. I actually want to see this movie because I'm actually more interested in seeing how this jumbled.
This I will see when it is convenient and most cheap for me to do so.
When it shows up at the bargain bin theater.
No, I mean just because I do want to see if I can spot where all the.
You can.
I just want.
Because according to people like Andre Butner Comedy says, like you can totally see the tonal shift happen in the movie where it's like, oh, this is, and you can say, oh, that's a Joss Whedon joke they put in that they didn't need here or there. Like, okay, you actually didn't need the joke there, and now you went too far to recorrect it. You know, because now you're putting two directors with a totally different style into one movie and trying to come out with something to appease everyone. Yeah. Well, he said you can see the fingerprints of Warner Brothers all over this to try to course correct it. Superman supposedly like Superman in this movie, not just a dour, like just a grumbly character in this. And yes, you have more jokes. You have Batman being jokey. Flash is always kind of jokey.
It's going to be like a peanut butter and thumbtack sandwich. It's going to be tough.
You got the bro jokes with Aquaman. And you have one.
My man!
You have
fucking bullshit. That shit is bullshit. Fucking awful. My buddy Adam and I, yeah, I'm name checking you, Adam Gazowski, my good buddy, have just been laughing about that forever. We're like, who goes to see the movie after that? My man! Like, you just don't, like, it's just so bad.
I gotta see it because I hear like half of it is like, you know, the bromance rivalry between Batman and Aquaman. And you have like, then you have Wonder Woman rolling around. I was like, oh man, like it just sounds like seriously that's where you're going with this. You know, it's like, oh, I gotta take care of you men now. Like, you know, that whole cliche. So, That wasn't in the second. That was in the Snyder teaser, not in the Joss Whedon trailer.
I don't even remember.
My man. That is pretty bad, isn't it?
And he drives off on his fucking motorcycle to do a fucking triple flip wheelie off a cliff and land on the Enterprise. That
was a good Star Trek movie. That teaser was awful.
Yeah, well,
I felt so bad. That was a great movie.
Movies just blew up.
Did they feel they had to do like an overly over-the-top masculine Aquaman to get people to like the character? You think that was part of it?
Yeah,
I
think so, probably.
It was part of it, and plus the women kind of like Jason Momoa, known as a pretty hot.
Momoa! My man! All right, let's just move on.
No, we're not moving on. We're talking about this. And then he goes, yeah!
Yeah.
That's the drum. Okay. All right. But seriously, one of the things that I saw in a review that was written was like they toss you in and there's some Aquaman action going on with the redhead that looks like a pretty sensual looking mermaid type creature, and it sounds like if you hadn't read the comics you'd know what the hell was going on.
Oh, that's what's her fucking name?
They drop you into these scenarios in the movie, and it's only 2 hours long, the movie, which this is actually need a longer one. Because Batman v Superman was like almost 3 hours. You don't like DC, Ian. And then you don't know what's going on. So they actually needed more time for this movie. It would have demanded more time. They cut stuff out probably. There's already a petition for a Snyder director's cut, which actually sounds like it actually might be needed for a movie like this. And it just sounds like it was more of the same. You've seen it already, and that's it. So where do they go from here, Ian? Please pay attention.
I don't know.
Where do you go from here? Because if this... Again, for this movie to do well, it's going to have to make at least to break even. And I think they're tired of breaking even on these movies. It has to make like $600 to $700 million, actually more than that because of the advertising budget. This has to make like $900 million worldwide. It probably won't come close to that if it opens with $96 million. Thor with short hair with a wacky Jeff Goldblum opened with $122 million. Thor 3. That's a nutty, whacked out movie, and it's a good movie, did a hell of a lot better than a Justice League movie. Did you ever think you would see that? 10 years ago, if someone said Thor 3 with a short hair Thor, which is half a comedy, did a fuckload better than Justice League did as a movie. That's insane.
My man, I would not have thought that. I would have called you insane.
So what do they do? Do they do... I'm going to say this. Hot take. No more team-up movies are happening in the DC universe. Mine is shitty Suicide Squad where no one gives a shit about those characters.
It's a Suicide Squad.
You ain't going to see Justice League 2. Not happening.
No.
You're just going to see safer movies like Wonder Woman 2, a standalone Batman movie. If we ever decide who the fuck's going to be Batman.
Because right now it looks like it might be Jake
Gyllenhaal. Because they canceled Cyborg Man, the movie. Flash, I guess they're going to already try to do it as a soft reboot because they're going to do the Flashpoint storyline.
Like Flash in the pan.
But the whole point is that they're already saying, well, Affleck's out. He's out. So you got...
But he's sometimes not.
But you got 3 full movies with him and a cameo in the awful Suicide Squad. And I did see it, Suicide Squad. And I saw the last hour of Batman v Superman. Martha! Yeah, I saw it. And it wasn't the worst thing ever. It was just the most forgettable CG hour of fighting you've ever seen. That's all it was, you know.
Yeah.
So, do you think there'll be another Justice League, or they're going to say, no, fuck it, we're done?
I think...
We're done with these big event movies. They're not working.
The problem is... Am I allowed to say this? I almost feel bad because after Wonder Woman, I got the impression that some of these actors maybe got a little like, hey, maybe something good's gonna happen. But this movie was already
filmed a chunk of it.
But this film was already in trouble.
Yeah,
too much trouble to be saved. Whedon came in, couldn't save it. So what I think they wanted to try to save was, I think they wanted to save it enough to follow up Wonder Woman and have it be decent, but it was unsalvageable. And by being unsalvageable, I think it's really kind of destroyed the whole universe network. I think we will get a Wonder Woman 2, the Batman movie, the Aquaman movie's already in the can.
Cheaper movies to do.
We'll get the single movies. If we are
Flash.
ever going to see an ensemble again, it will be years down the road when they have a stable fucking cast and crew. And I mean both. I mean, you can't have this Ben Affleck shit being like, oh, sometimes I want to be Batman, but no, today I'm sad about it.
I was going to direct and write it. Now I'm not. Now I don't know which one I want to be in it. And right before Comic-Con, that's good news.
I'm tired and sad. And, you know, you need to have, for something for this to work, you need to have a cohesive group of actors and actresses.
What do they sign Affleck up for, like 4 movies, and that's it?
Yeah. You got to have them like Marvel did in the long haul if you want the universe to work. And then secondly, we can't have any more of this I mean, I understand the reasoning why Snyder had to step down, but I can't help but feel like this would probably have been a worse movie to me, but maybe a better movie to some people had it. You can't have this clashing of directors.
The saving grace is that this did pretty well overseas, but a hell of a lot worse than Batman v Superman did. So Batman v Superman...
Is that like 185 total, including overseas, right?
Pat math, it did 185 opening overseas in 65 markets. 185. Batman v Superman or Justice League 1 did 254. All right?
All right.
So that's a huge drop off of Pat math if I can actually calculate out what that difference is here. What is 254 minus 185? 69 divided by 254. That did 27% less, if my math is right. That's a huge drop off.
It is.
So this is going to make less than Batman Superman for sure. It probably will either break even or lose money. And then I think that's the last big fucking movie you're going to see from DC. Because they just have not proven that they can do it. Yeah, Suicide Squad did make some money. Batman Superman probably made about 3 cents. Or made some money maybe after licensing out everything.
Yeah, scrape the money off the table there.
But you cannot keep pumping out $300 million movies with a huge marketing budget on top of that, and then have this happen. You just can't do it.
No.
So,
I saw a pretty good movie poster that someone did a mock-up, and it was they used some of the logos from Justice League.
Okay.
But it just said sunken costs fallacy. And it was pretty good. Like, that's, I mean, what they're buying into, and it's not going to work anymore. You can't just keep throwing money into this universe and expect it to magically work. This was, I think, their one shot and last shot at salvaging the original idea, and that was they had to follow Wonder Woman up with an at least passable Justice League. And whatever fan reviews say, financially, it's not going to do that.
So we know that Aquaman's in production. Wonder Woman 2 will probably be made because the first one did extremely well.
I thought Aquaman 2 was already done.
It's in production either way.
Oh,
I think they're filming it, or maybe it's done production. You'll probably get a Batman film. Those are probably surefire hits if you keep the budget down. You're going to see a Batman movie.
The Batman, it's called.
Shazam 2's in production with the not just that. There's going to be a Black Adam movie. Like The Rock is going to star in a villain Shazam movie.
Right.
Is that going to actually come out?
No.
No. They're going to cancel that. But they'll probably throw him back into Shazam, though. Because Shazam, to me, is like the Ant-Man of the DC universe at this point, where like it would have been a risk to put Ant-Man out unless every other movie did well before that, so that it wasn't a risk anymore.
Right.
No one's going to see Shazam now.
No.
If you're not going to go see a Justice League movie, you're not going to see Shazam. The casual person doesn't know who the fuck the original Captain Marvel is. Now it's Shazam. They don't know that.
Nope.
They don't know that it's an 80-year-old character that got sued by DC. It was basically the first Superman clone. You get into that. So maybe Suicide Squad 2, since that made a little bit of money. You're not going to see Cyborg Man. You might not see a Flash movie.
It's just called Cyborg, Pat.
I don't know. The whole point was it sounded like he was Mr. Exposition in the movie. He was a guy just talking about the plot. By the way, the other funny thing I saw about this review is it seems like in this Justice League universe, only the Justice League exists, and then the monsters, and then there's no people around. Like, it just seems like there's like empty rooms that they talk in, and so there was I guess there's an early scene where Batman is chasing a parademon, and then there's a random person that helps drive the plot forward that says, "Oh, is that like an alien scout out to get us?" It sounds like the worst writing ever, where Batman has to like go through the exposition with literally a random person that knows just as much as Batman about the situation, that somehow knows what's going on. Sounds like the worst fucking script I've ever, like when I read that I was like, this sounds ridiculous on its face. You know, it's just anyway. We're DC haters, so let's move on. He's so disappointed. No, my man, no. All right. Something that I'm not shocked is happening. It's been kind of rumored about before. And that is the possibility of an animated Super Mario Brothers movie. So, Nintendo plans to return to movies. Wall Street Journal sources said a deal for an animated Super Mario Brothers movie is coming from Illumination Entertainment, the Universal studio, behind the Despicable Me series, which is a huge series of movies, which are 3 of them.
I think it was like
4.
5.
The exact terms aren't clear, but it would theoretically allow multiple movies. Ooh, they're going to have the Mario movie verse.
I would fucking dark and gritty.
Nintendo is trying to maintain creative involvement. Mario creator Shigeru Miyamoto is expected to be a producer. All right, that's all great news.
That is good.
Because they didn't give a shit about that live action movie. They just help. You want to make a movie here? Give us money here. Here's the right.
Let's do it.
Do what you want. So obviously there's Universal theme parks coming. So this makes absolute sense. It's synergy, Ian. It's synergy.
Barf.
For this to happen.
No, it's synergy me shitting out of my pants and throwing up at the same time.
So the thing about these animated movies, though, is that production time, the lead time on these is usually a couple years at least.
Yes.
Because you have to get the voice actors on board, get the animation going. I mean, it's not as easy. In terms of timing, it's a lot easier to do a traditional movie than animated. At least that's as far as I know. No, even for like a Pixar movie. By the way, Incredibles 2 teaser is coming from Pixar. Yeah, The Incredibles. Always forgotten about one of the best superhero movies ever. Anyway,
I really like the original Incredibles. I don't know that I'm.
It's incredible, that movie. It's a good movie.
Those sirens are coming for you.
It's the best Fantastic Four movie we've got. The Incredibles.
Yeah.
I mean, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So at this point, there's not a lot more to talk about other than this makes perfect sense. It's almost a no-brainer. It's the Mickey Mouse of the video game world. You have theme parks coming out. The Switch is doing gangbusters. Mario Odyssey will probably win Game of the Year if Breath of the Wild doesn't win Game of the Year. So, I mean, why not do it?
I think Mario Odyssey's fresher on everyone's minds. Had both games come out at the same time, I think you'd see a bigger debate, but I think Odyssey wins Game of the Year.
I think Odyssey is going to get it. Just because I think it's
a cheerful motherfucker of a game in a time where we need stuff like that.
And there's something to be said for a game that's a hell of a lot more accessible than Breath of the Wild is to like anyone.
Yeah,
it's hard to me to have a pick up and play game that's like a near perfect or perfect game.
Yep.
Versus one that's so specialized. That's a whole other philosophical conversation. You can make an argument either way, and I wouldn't complain either way. But
sure.
Odyssey's going to take it. It's going to sell a bajillion Switches for Nintendo. And, I think that's part of it.
A billion Switches for everyone. Billion. Anyway.
Do you have Switch supplies at Luna? You getting the Switch in? The console?
Probably not new ones, no. But, I mean, they're well-stocked everywhere. Actually, we might for second week of December. We usually do get some bundles in.
You getting Super Nintendo Classics? Am I advertising for you now? Are you getting Super Nintendos? Because they're restocked everywhere, too.
No.
It's still hard to get those. They don't care about
No, we
the
just
small
don't
shops.
care about that stuff.
They don't stock them?
They don't, and I mean, honestly, we don't try.
Oh, okay.
Anymore. Just because it's a pain in the ass. We warranty hardware for 90 days. If I can't fucking get another one to...
Oh, sure. I see what you're saying.
It's tough for
someone
us.
can fuck up flashing it, and then they want to return it.
Yeah, and then I get into an argument, and then I can't fucking get a replacement one, and all that sort of horseshit. Sure. Plus, on top of the fact that we'd probably make $5 a piece off of them.
Probably the margin would be more because they bumped it to 80, but yeah.
It depends. But yeah, I don't think it's worth the hassle.
It's not worth it to have a loss leader in your store like that.
Now,
we're getting off topic, though. We're getting off topic.
Yeah, we're off topic.
Do you see the other animated universe? You see a Zelda movie coming?
No. I don't. I think a Mario movie fits because it's just so bright and cartoony.
And more kiddie than even Zelda is.
Yes. I know lots of people want a Zelda movie. I don't think I ever want to see a Zelda movie. I don't know that I ever really want to see a Mario movie.
Do you want to see Mario talk with that woo-hoo voice versus Captain Lou? I don't know.
It's tough.
Someone do.
It's me.
I don't think 2 hours in this voice is going to be that good. I don't know.
Really, no one beats Norm when it comes to Luigi and Mario voices. He's good at them. Yeah, no, I think this is actually probably a good fit. I don't really need to see Zelda in a movie form. We could see. I mean,
you build that multiverse till you get that Smash Brothers movie in 2026 that underperforms, and they do away with it. My man Bowser!
Yeah.
My Bowser!
No, Donkey Kong looks knowingly over at Bowser, gives him a thumbs up. My man! His master hand goes flying off screen.
Oh, that's gonna be our new T-shirt.
All right.
All right,
Kill me. We're moving on.
All right, Ian, we love That's It.
We do love That's It.
That's It bites. They started with That's It fruit bars, veggie bars. We've talked about it forever. It's almost a cult of That's It at this point.
Yep.
I was actually in the airport at a layover at Detroit, and they had That's It bites and That's It veggie bars, or maybe fruit bars too. They had them at a store in
Oh,
the
really?
airport. Yeah.
Nice.
It's getting out there. I didn't ask how much. Got my own, but that's okay. If you want these delicious That's It bites, they're basically fruit truffles. So this one in my hand is apple and blueberries with dark chocolate. You know what ingredients this has? Apples and blueberries and dark chocolate. There's no additives in here.
Delicious.
There's no preservatives, non-GMO, gluten-free, vegan even, no soy. Some people out there don't like soy.
No soy.
Low fat. So there's 5 of these, but they're large fruit truffles. It's filling. It's actually a fruit serving and chocolate.
Yeah, I mean, there's
This isn't a fruit pie. That's not a real fruit serving. This is real fruit in here.
No, those are good, and honestly, 5 of them, that's a snack to me. They fill me up.
And it's only 150 calories in here. So there you go. You get a nice, sensible. And I'll tell you what, after I eat 5 of these for dessert, I'm actually pretty good. Because you know why? There's like a whole freaking apple in this package that's mashed in here. So eat an apple, you're pretty full.
Good fiber, too.
Good fiber. Keeps the plumbing working, too.
Yep, keeps the plumbing working.
Go to that'sitfruit.com, enter code CU Podcast. You can save 10% off any order today. Yeah, that's about it. 150 calories. The indulgent, guilt-free trip. Every age, diet, and lifestyle. Big flavor. Paleo-friendly, non-GMO, no preservatives, low fat, gluten-free, no soy. It goes perfect with wine. It's a good snack. I keep one in the car. You keep one probably in your pocket at all times.
I have them in my bags at all times.
And midday snack. Yeah, I eat a snack sometimes. Yeah, I don't feel guilt eating this. That's it, fruit.com.
I do feel guilty. I have made entire day's meals out of That's It bars.
Just That's It bars for the whole day?
Let's have a couple in the morning. I'm running late. Okay, let's take a couple for lunch and at home.
But you don't feel worn down probably after that.
No, I don't.
So
maybe not enough caloric intake, but I feel okay.
Let's eat like 7 of them.
Yeah.
That's it, fruit.com. Use code CU Podcast when checking out to save 10% off your order. Ian, why don't you watch that Rampage trailer?
All right, I gotta watch this fucking shit.
I'll rewatch it. Okay, Ian, we just rewatched the trailer for Rampage coming out April 20th, 2018. See it in Real D, 3D, and IMAX. I don't know what the hell Real D is. What do you think, Ian, about Rampage, the video game, the movie coming out? What do you think about that?
I mean, it's monsters fighting each other, which is about the best route they could have taken with it, I think.
It's the only route you can take a Rampage movie.
Yeah, but I've seen a lot of shitty takes on video game movies.
Sure.
So
okay. So in the trailer, George, the albino-looking gorilla,
I get he's silverback.
More than silverback. It was white. He's in the lore of Rampage. It's the human scientists that turn into the monsters.
Yes.
In this, there was I guess some sort of weird contaminant, some government contaminant that got on a regular gorilla and just made him bigger. Mm-hmm. I'm already pissed about that change. No, I don't care about that. I mean, come on, that's probably the best way to go. Then you have The Rock as a protagonist, who, by the way, is now officially the same character in every movie.
Yeah.
It's the same director of San Andreas. In San Andreas, he knew how to fly a helicopter, I think. He flies a helicopter here, too. Okay?
I think he's wearing the same clothing.
Probably. Short, tight shirts.
Yeah.
I think he probably flew a helicopter in G.I. Joe 2 as well. So officially, The Rock is the same character in all these movies.
Every action, man.
You have Naomi Harris in this, who has been Pirates of the Caribbean. She's been the new Moneypenny in the James Bond movies. She's a good actor for what I see. She's been in a lot of stuff. She was in Moonlight. I'm looking at a lot of stuff she's been in. A lot of stuff. She's showing up everywhere. That's fine. Okay. I'll just go out and say this. I understand we need our action stars. Totally get that. I understand we need our sex appeal for both the ladies who get in the theater and the men. You know, you could say Rock's probably one of the most attractive men out there.
Yeah.
He's in great shape, probably better shape than ever been in his life, and he's like his mid-40s.
Eats a lot of cod.
You're stretching the realism a little bit when the character of Davis Okoye is a ripped helicopter piloting ape expert. At some time, you got to take a break. You have time to get your PhD in primate studies and fly a helicopter. And by the way, you're fucking ripped as well. Something's got to give at some point. Unless you're just the biggest Renaissance man in the world. Am I right or not?
You're right.
I mean, come on.
You're right. You're right.
Can we have him be part of a team where, like, you have a smart Jeff Goldblum type character, and by the way, you happen to have hunky, sexy, ripped Rock who's part of a mercenary crew? Like, I'm just saying, some realism. Jeffrey Dean Morgan is back playing now Negan now in the role, and I love Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Going back to Watchmen, he was a pretty good comedian. He's been other stuff here and there. At some point, a government agent in these movies has to come across as an actual government agent, not just the biggest asshole walking the face of the earth. At some point, I'm just saying, we've seen it before. The cliche of the government agent not giving a shit about the population. People, we're the government. We know what we're doing, until they don't. Which in this case is George growing out of the cage and then rushing and escaping and then leading
fighting a wolf.
And fighting a wolf, which was in the original movie.
Yep.
Oh, excuse me, original game. What was not in the original game was a giant crocodile. There was a lizard.
Yes. But we can't get sued by Godzilla.
Would they sue over... do they hold the copyright on any giant lizard creature? Is that a thing?
I don't know.
Because doesn't that mean that Universal could go after them for having a giant gorilla that could resemble King Kong? I don't understand how this works. I really don't. I'm honestly asking the question. I don't know. They specifically have to say in the trailer, that's an alligator. Okay.
Papers are going to get served somewhere.
I'm not sure how you can tell it's an alligator underwater, hunky Rock Davis Okoye, but I guess you can tell that it's not a giant lizard and it's an alligator. You have that ability because you're hunky and you're an expert on giant animals.
You're made out of peanut butter fudge.
While you also go to the gym 2 hours every day and lift and also know how to fly a helicopter. I don't know.
Let me cut into you.
Anyway.
Oh. Hey.
Did I just go on a rant about this movie? It honestly doesn't look that bad. To be honest,
no, it doesn't.
It could be a lot worse. I'll be honest.
It could be a lot worse. That's what I'm trying to get at.
I've seen these before. San Andreas was one of those forgettable movies. By the way, there's all Watchmen actors in here. Jeffrey Dean Morgan's in this. Malin Ackerman, who is Silk Spectre 2 in this. And then also in San Andreas, you had Silk Spectre 1. Carla Gugino was in that. I just don't know what's going on there. I'm just commenting on that. You have half of the Watchmen universes are in these two movies. That's all I'm saying.
Roundabout way of saying this whole thing is a fucking mess. I mean, but you load me up enough, and I'll go see this.
I actually tweeted: "Is this stupidly awesome or awesomely stupid?"
I think it might be stupidly awesome.
So it means it gets your ticket, but if it was awesomely stupid, it would not.
Awesomely stupid would probably also get a ticket.
It would also,
but I just don't know that I'm actually going to go see it. The thing is like, this is one of those movies where it's like, well, okay, if I'm going to go see this probably objectively shit but perhaps fun movie, I should go see this in the theaters on the big screen because it's all about big monsters.
And big muscles.
And big muscles.
Big chesticles.
Chests. And chests, my man! And...
We can't have Jason Momoa and The Rock in the same movie.
No.
Women couldn't handle it. Men would feel inadequate forever. We couldn't do that.
Just be a lot of chest slapping and my man.
Or get Vin Diesel in there too and forget it. It's over.
Oh, it's finished. Just fucking testosterone flooded.
By the way, you want to see a movie with apes? I just saw on the plane 2 movies. There weren't apes in the first one. A lot of manliness going on. But I just saw The Fate of the Furious, Fast and Furious 8. I don't know how that movie is going to be forgettable for me, but I've already forgot the movie of Fate of the Furious. The Civil War of the Fast and the Furious franchise. Mm-hmm. They're all unbelievable at this point in terms of what goes on. They're all superheroes. They all team up. But I saw afterwards War for the Planet of the Apes. Holy fuck, is that a good movie?
Really?
That did big business last summer.
Yeah.
And was critically acclaimed. I guess the third in this trilogy. It might be the last one. Go see War for Planet of the Apes. Outstanding movie.
Who directed it?
I forget. I mean outstanding movie. And that was a quote-unquote summer blockbuster. That was...
I'm going to search just on this tab that says, is John...
Is what?
It's John... He's
not a mercenary.
I know he's not, but I still
I hope Jax doesn't listen to this podcast now. Jax is not a real-life mercenary. He's just really into fitness.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's what's going on there. Anything else to add to the Rampage trailer talk?
No.
No.
But I could be bribed to go save us cookies.
Okay. And eHarmony is coming on board to sponsor the podcast.
All right.
If you're trying online dating, chances are you run into lazy text messages, dead-end conversations, and random matches that don't turn into dates. You can't get to know someone just by looking at their pictures, and some of the times it's not even the right picture. I've done my fair share of online dating. I know. So, all right, what's different about eHarmony? It's built to help you find lasting, meaningful relationships. It's not a shallow hookup site. No. They've helped over 1 million people find their perfect match. You've seen the commercials. They use years and years of science, data, and psychological research to send you the right matches.
eHarmony. It brings compatible people together.
And yeah, this is not a hookup site. Anyone can hook up. Go to the bar. No, you want a real relationship. You want someone, Ian, you can cook your Blue Apron with. That's what you want. You're not going to find that in Tinder. Tinder, you're going to be maybe cooking up meth. But not Blue Apron. I don't know. But anyway, right now you can get a free month of eHarmony. 3-month free subscription with code CU Podcast.
Stop waiting and start your journey to a satisfying, meaningful relationship. It can be fun to play around with online dating apps.
Oh, can it be?
But when you're ready to fall in love with someone and have a meaningful relationship, there's one app that's built to bring you real love, eHarmony. Come see how eHarmony can change your life. Go to eHarmony.com and get started. Enter my code CUPodcast at checkout.
That's what you get. You get a free month with eHarmony when you sign up for a 3-month subscription. Again, use code CUPodcast. And hopefully find your e-love.
Do it. Find love.
All right, Q&A time on the CU Podcast. This is at, oh my God, I can't read that. Bazooka Joe says, how deep should a new collector go into complete in box? Start out complete in box or work your way up? Thanks, Pat.
My answer would be this. How long have you started this collection? Is this a collection that you want to start? Did you wake up and decide, you know what, I'd like to start collecting Genesis? There's some good games on that damn system, and yeah, I think that's the system I'm going to target next. I think if you're just starting out, you need to kind of think and commit. If you really want to go complete in box, which gets crazy, but if you want to go complete in box, you should do it from the start so that you're not just buying placeholder games in your collection that you're going to have to upgrade later. Because it's not going to be cheap. It's only going to get more expensive. It probably, at least for the complete in box ones, for a while, to replace that copy. So you're going to be spending more total on the game, even if it's a rare game and you trade up your loose copy for a complete copy. It would be rough to to play catch up like that. However, if you decide that you want to, you're fairly certain, 100% certain that you want to go with complete in box. If you decide that you don't, it's really easy to back out of complete in box. Sell off your boxes and manuals. Yeah. Keep your games. You're done. It's way easier to step back from that complete in box bridge than it is to suddenly decide that you want your collection to be complete in box when you've got 100 games already purchased that aren't complete in box. Frankly, I think it just depends on what you want. Every collector's different. I've never seen the need for complete in box with cartridge games just because they take up so much damn space. But Genesis is nice because the cartridge boxes are, pretty protective. So
yeah, Genesis to me, it's almost, you must have that.
Yeah,
it's hard to store them, and then there's a place for the manual.
Yeah, for Genesis, I would almost make the argument that collect in box is the way to go with Genesis, because at least for right now, you can still do it and get lucky most of the time with those games.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how much money you have.
Too.
I mean, if you have
space money.
If you don't have money or space, don't go near this. But if you're going to do it and you have the money, you don't care about space, you have to buy in bulk, go to shows,
Sometimes the shows you do see someone that has a lot of just. I've gone to shows where people have hundreds of folded down boxes, but again, like Ian says, it's probably worth it to skip that route, not to piece it together, and just buy them complete. On eBay, sometimes you'll be able to snag deals of complete in box games or lots. So you'll see some lots on eBay that are all complete in box games because some people either got into it or had them as a kid or are just selling them or collecting them and they're selling them all at one time. You can sometimes you'll end up ahead buying them like that versus trying to again piece it together, get the manual separately. Trust me, I just pieced together 99% of the NES manuals. Like almost 800, and I probably spent a lot more per pound versus if I bought them all complete in box versus buying the manual separately. It's probably the same for buying the boxes and manual separately as well.
And I would almost certainly say that. I mean, this goes for anyone who's doing serious collecting, but if you're going to do complete in box collecting, it's best to buy it probably in lots, even if there's only 1 or 2 games in that lot you're looking for, and spend the extra money, because you're going to find a lot of people who are doing complete in box.
Say gluten-free?
No, who are doing it sounded a little like that. Who are doing complete in gluten. Well, they're going to want trades. A lot of these people like to do trades and trade bait. There's a lot less, I think, cash changing hands for these things, especially at conventions or in local collector circles. So it's always good to have if you're going to do complete like NES, have a stack of doubles, or it doesn't matter. Have something to throw in besides cash.
The final thing I'm going to say, like Ian said, with the space. Again, this also, we don't know how many games. Maybe you only want 50 games that are complete in box, not the whole library. The whole library will take you a hell of a long time. I would say never to start that at this point, unless it's a freaking Virtual Boy or Master System you can do. TurboGrafx you probably can pull off, even though some games now, like even Hero Toma, is finally like 1,000 or more with the box, or even without the box. So there's only a few I would probably even recommend trying to do.
Go with a series maybe, or a publisher that you really like. Get all the Disney Afternoon games complete in box, or get all the Mega Mans, complete in box, or
all the ones I grew up with as a kid I have complete in box. All like 13 games I have.
If you like Jellico, get all those complete in box, and even some of those are going to be really expensive to get. But maybe you can start small there and see if you really want to keep going with that. Pick a set that you like, try doing that all complete in box, and if things go your way and you don't find it to be too much of a hassle or too expensive, then continue on.
All right, this is from Daniel Jose Leary. Friendly's opens their first new prototype store with an updated look. Phone chargers at the tables and drive-thru. Plans to expand after years of closure.
I mean, not really a question, but, just a heartwarming bit of news to us in the CU podcast compound. Friendly's is a diner and ice cream chain.
Diner-esque.
Diner-esque. I mean, what would you say?
It's a family restaurant.
Yeah, family restaurant. They got the steaks.
You got your grilled cheese. You got your burgers, your sandwiches. They've good breakfasts.
Yeah, more like a Denny's or a
better than Denny's.
Well, yeah, or a Perkins. I like Perkins.
It's in the Perkins. It's in that sort of neighborhood of type of place. I don't know about the quality versus Perkins, but
the nebulous Perkins hood.
But it has the best ice cream on the fucking planet. That's what Perkins doesn't have, or Denny's.
And that's the important part. Pat and I both have a love of
Friendly's.
I was
just there.
Yeah, from our upbringing on the East Coast. And Friendly's have been closing down and disappearing all up and down the East Coast forever. I remember...
Past 20 years.
Yeah. I mean, my childhood Friendly's closed when I was probably 14. And then, I mean, they got progressively harder and harder to find. But now they're updating with, phone chargers?
No, this is a prototype restaurant they're trying.
Okay.
So Friendly's has rebounded from what I see. They're still around.
It's because of us.
Because of us?
Because of us.
Because of us over the past year?
Hey, we raised the price on Danny Sullivan. We can raise the stock on Friendly's.
So there's a new location opening up in Marlboro, New Jersey. And is that Marlboro, New Jersey? So, yeah. Unless there's another Marlboro, but I know there's a Marlboro, New Jersey. No, it's not. Fuck, I should have prepared better. So, all right. So it's gonna have, you said, phone chargers, drive-through, and it's gonna has a little updated look. If you ever been to a Friendly's, it's kind of older fashioned. Like, it looks like it's out of the 70s.
Wood Formica.
A lot of reds. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's the Friendly's is a script white and it's red.
Yeah.
FRIENDLY, Friendly's in the summertime. Watch the commercials on YouTube. I don't know where the hell we're going with this topic, to be honest.
I just think it's good.
They're not changing the menu, though, right? They're not changing the ice cream.
They're not changing the menu. They're not changing the ice cream. And for the first time in years, they're going to be expanding. Esperanto. They'll be expanding, not contracting.
Like my waist after the ice cream. After I get the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup Sundae, or the watermelon roll, or the witch or ogre ice cream. You know. Have I told you about the clown? How the clown is kind of close to the witch.
Yeah. Yeah, they're basically the same.
Wait, where is this located? What Marlboro is this? I feel like, what the hell's going on? We're gonna represent Friendly's.
Marlboro.
I thought it was Marlboro, New Jersey, but it's not.
That would have made us good. That would have made sense.
All right, it's gonna be 5 to 10 new stores by 2019. These prototypes. The logo is the same, but now again there's a drive-thru. And the cool thing about Friendly's, and this is free advertising, the ice cream section is separate too.
Yeah.
You can just walk in and get ice cream.
You don't have to deal with nothing else. No bullshit.
Yeah, we don't need a sandwich. Oh, it's Massachusetts. Okay. Marlboro, Massachusetts. There you go. Support your local Friendly's, all right? Opening new stores, not closing anymore. Why the hell do I have a hard-on for anything that has anything remotely related to any happiness as a child? I don't know. Nintendo, Friendly's, Thundercats. You know, it's all the same.
My grams used to walk me up to the Friendly's, and we'd just get some Buttercrunch ice cream and enjoy life.
Butter Crunch?
Yeah, Buttercrunch.
Not Butter Pecan?
I like Butter Pecan. Buttercrunch is with the butterscotch candies broken up inside of it, though.
Oh. I don't know if they got rid of that.
Very good.
Do you know what the watermelon roll?
Watermelon roll is great.
Do you know what that is?
It's fantastic.
Look it up. All right? It's fucking genius.
It's summertime.
I suppose I did a 10-minute rant about it at Syracuse convention last year. I had to see the video of that.
It's summertime in a slice.
All right. What else is going on? Is that it for this CU podcast?
Yeah, I gotta go sit in a pharmacy for a while.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Check us out. We got a Patreon, patreon.com/CU podcast. You can watch the full videos and all their awkwardness. Video version of the podcast. You also have a chance to ask a question on the CU podcast hotline by doing that. We'll try to get Q&A for that next time. You can call in and leave a message. What else is going on, Ian? Yeah.
I'm looking forward to Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving, giblets.
We've got 24 tamales sitting in the fridge for Thanksgiving. We have
Having Thanksgiving here?
Over at John's. We've got I think
I'm invited.
I thought you're not doing nothing. I mean, you can come.
I'll show up. No, I got plans.
I mean, you always have plans.
What time's Thanksgiving? I'm thinking mine's at 3.
We're eating at probably about 4 and hanging out all day.
Okay, I will see.
Maybe playing some drop mix and eating some foods.
That was drop mix.
It's just fucking Gerard was talking to Austin Creed about it on fuck. This is like an advertisement now on Twitter,
okay.
And I looked it up and I was like, holy shit, they made this game for me, and I bought it immediately. I was like, thanks, Gerard.
What is it, like a DJ mixing game?
It's a card game. There's a board.
Oh, it's a card game.
There's a board, and it hooks up to your iPad, and then you get speaker. You hook it up to a Bluetooth speaker, and as you drop cards onto the specified spots, it starts playing bass lines or drum lines or vocal lines or keyboard lines from certain songs, and then it mashes them up and
with cards.
With cards,
it sends a signal to your Bluetooth.
Yeah.
Huh.
And it creates musical mashups as you're playing, and then there is like a game involved where you have to get to 21 points, but it's fucking phenomenal.
All right, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, so I'm taking that over there because
I'm going to challenge you at that, my friend.
It's fun.
One of my slight electronic music days in college. Post up.
Post up.
All right, other than that, thanks for all your support. We're going to hit December, the ground running. I'm going to be moving. And yeah, if you need a nice Christmas present, go to ultimatenes.com for a certain NES guidebook. Why not? And this year I'll have them in stock past Thanksgiving. They won't sell out this Thanksgiving. If I do again, that'd be a great problem to have. But I should have enough for Christmas.
I'd suggest Ether for a Christmas present for
Ether?
yourself. Yeah.
Oh, I also might do. You know, I don't want to ruin it for everyone. I might put out a promo code for the weekend for Cyber Wednesday or whatever, or Cyber Friday. To save a little bit on the book. So anyway,
Luna's doing some shit.
you're doing a sale as well.
Yeah, this weekend.
So
if you hear this.
you're here this within driving distance to Luna 2 locations, Chula Vista
And
El
La
Cajon.
Mesa.
El
El
Cajon.
Cajon area.
Yeah.
Technically San Diego.
I missed the Voltaire Street location. All right.
Oh, I missed the Motel Street. All right, let's go.
All right. So for Ian Ferguson on Pat Country,
Pat Country.
my man.
All right, we're out.